Hey guys, welcome to Minecraft. That's right. So if you are unaware, YouTube has been changing their terms of services recently. So now if you want to keep your videos monetized, your content would have to be advertiser friendly, which means you are not allowed to swear, have graphic imagery, or talk about controversial content. Now the manga in question today, Battle Tendency, deals with some very controversial topics such as Nazis and the undead. However, after looking at manga as a whole, I realized that it is actually the devil. Manga, anime, and Pokemans are corrupting our youth, and I decided I need to distance myself from this poison. So from now on, instead of reviewing manga, I will be bringing you guys some family-friendly Minecraft content. So as you can see, I started a brand new world. I collected a little bit of wood, but then I came across this massive cave right here. So before I make any more preparations, I decided to take you guys with me as we explore this cave. So without further ado, let's dig in and see what adventures are in store. Hey guys, welcome to my review for Battle Tendency, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 2. So it's been a while. It was like last November I reviewed Part 1. I'm sorry it took so long, but I did want to wait for all of Part 2 to finish releasing. And if you are new and did not know, I am going to be reviewing JoJo's Bizarre Adventure part by part as it gets released in English. Although that being said, it's going to be a very long time before Part 3 releases just because there are going to be a lot more volumes. So I think eventually I may just end up catching up online. Now before we get started, I do want to issue a spoiler warning for Part 1 of JoJo. I usually like to keep my reviews spoiler free, aside from, you know, the basic plot of the story. And that's really hard to do for Battle Tendency without spoiling a bit of what happened in Phantom Blood. So if you have not yet read Phantom Blood or seen the anime, please go do that before you watch this review. So Battle Tendency is a manga series written and illustrated by the legend himself, Hirohiko Araki, and it was serialized in Weekly Shonen Jump from 1987 to 1989. So our story begins 50 years after the events of Phantom Blood. It starts in Mexico in 1938 with allies of the late Jonathan Joestar, Speedwagon, and Straizo meeting up once again to investigate something regarding the stone masks. And of course the stone mask is what originally turned Dio Brando into a crazy vampire monster. So their goal was to just, you know, get rid of them, just destroy all the stone masks because we don't need any more vampires. They go into this ancient temple and they find a crap ton of stone masks as well as this guy, just this dude in the pillar, in a wall, and they realize he's alive. We're like, oh crap, what is this thing? Before they can destroy it though, Straizo's greed gets the better of him and he betrays Speedwagon and all the other soldiers with him and steals a stone mask for himself. So he becomes a vampire, he leaves Speedwagon to die, and he heads off to New York. Why? Because that is where the only remaining Joestars live. You see, the only real people who stand in Straizo's way are the Hamon users. Jonathan Joestar could use that Hamon pretty well, so Straizo was afraid that any of his descendants could also someday develop the Hamon abilities that could be used to defeat him. So he figures, hey, let's go track down his grandson Joseph so we can kill him before he gets any of his powers. We then got to New York where we are introduced to Joseph Joestar, who, as I said before, is the grandson of Jonathan Joestar and Irina, who is of course still alive and well. Straizo shows up to ruin the fun though. He tries to kill our new protagonist, but Jojo ain't having any of that because much to Straizo's misfortune, Jojo actually already knows how to use Hamon and he has been developing his abilities ever since he discovered he had them. So Jojo makes quick work of him and then he heads off to Mexico with hopes of finding his friend Speedwagon and getting to the bottom of what the crap just happened. When he gets there, he realizes that the Nazis have pretty much the same idea as him and they have been working to resurrect the man that Straizo and Speedwagon found in that pillar. Now this is a creature known as a Pillar Man and they are really, really powerful. Like there was Dio and then you have the Pillar Men. Fearing the power of these Pillar Men, when Jojo learns that there are more over in Rome, he heads over there and enlists the help of Caesar Zeppeli, who is actually the grandson of, you know, Zeppeli from Phantom Blood. And with the help of his new Hamon master, Lisa, they both train together to perfect their Hamon so they can defeat the 3 Pillar Men in Italy, AC/DC, Wamuu, and Cars, because these guys are after the red stone of Waja. If they obtain this stone, they will become perfect beings and will be pretty much invincible and destroy the friggin' world. Okay, so I'm gonna just stop talking about the plot now. I was pretty brief with things, but you know, like a lot of things actually happen in this series that is only like 7 volumes long. But yes, that is the basic premise. You have Jojo and Caesar and Lisa trying to defeat these 3 pillar men. Now, right off the bat, I have to say, this kind of blew me away. I've always heard good things about Jojo, but after reading Phantom Blood, I was a little underwhelmed because while it was still good, that's all it really was. It was just good. But Battle Tendency is friggin' fantastic. Like, this is pretty much the perfect sequel. It takes nearly everything from the original and makes it better. The story is a lot more interesting. Of course, it's longer, so a lot of more interesting things happen in it. It's really engaging right off the bat because it starts off with characters that you already know, and then it just cuts to New York, which is, you know, completely different from anything we've seen in Phantom Blood, where we're introduced to Joseph Joestar. It's a fantastic introduction. And even though it's sort of structured the same way as Phantom Blood, where, you know, the characters have to go off and train for a while, then they have this big massive battle, I think this series benefits from being longer because we really get to spend a lot more time with these characters, and because of this we care a lot more about these characters than the ones in part 1. Like in part 1, when characters died, even when Jonathan dies at the end, I didn't really care all that much because, you know, he was sort of just a generic character in my opinion. But in this series, even though it's still short, when like a character would die, like that would just destroy me. I'd be like, oh my god, why? Like, the writing is just amazing in this part, okay? The ending was also really great because I feel like it's going to tie into part 3 really well, and it makes me really excited to read part 3. So I'm going to be moving into characters now. I didn't mention the action scenes, and that's because I want to kind of tie these two together. So one of the reasons that this part is so much more interesting than Phantom Blood is the fight scenes, because in Phantom Blood, it was, you know, your kind of generic strongest person will win. That's all there really was to it, but here things are a bit different, because the Pillar Men are so insanely strong that our characters have very little hope of actually defeating them. And despite our protagonists being insanely, almost impossibly buff, a lot of times their strength just isn't enough. So they have to rely on their wits, and that is what makes this series so friggin' awesome. Joseph Joestar is a completely different character from his grandfather. He is exciting, he is interesting, he is relatable, and he uses his brain to win almost every fight, which is so cool. And all the other characters were really awesome. Caesar Zeppeli is a great character. He's very different from Joseph, and at the beginning they're kind of rivals and they pretty much hate each other, but you know, as they train together they start to understand each other and grow stronger. And you have their mentor Lisa, who is amazing. She is a great character. What a badass Lisa. Oh my god. It was also really great seeing some of the old characters like Speedwagon, who I didn't really feel we got enough of in part 1. If there's one thing that I think part 1 does better than part 2 is the villain. Because honestly, Dio, in my opinion, is one of the greatest villains in manga. Like, that element of part 1 was just so amazing that I really wasn't expecting it to be any better in part 2, and you know, it kind of wasn't. The 3 main villains we get, AC/DC, Wamuu, and Cars, are all pretty decent villains. Although, to be honest, the things they do aren't like as horrible as stuff that Dio would have done. So even though they are more powerful, and they may even be more evil, it doesn't really feel like they are. So I was kind of disappointed with the villains, but honestly, I mean, the fight scenes were just so amazing, it's kind of hard to complain. Next up is the art, and oh my god, like I kind of forgot just how amazing this art was, okay? It's definitely better than Phantom Blood. Like, Phantom Blood still had really good art, although I had a few problems with it here or there. Here the art is just amazing. This used to be a weekly manga, and it blows my mind, because this has to be the most detailed weekly manga I have ever seen. Look at it, sure, the characters don't really look realistic, you know, they're all exaggerated with all their muscles and stuff, but it looks so well drawn. The action scenes are super easy to follow, they're so detailed, it's amazing. As always, it's a very gory series, which makes everything just all the more intense. And I can definitely see why Araki is considered one of the greatest mangaka of all time. So those were my thoughts on Battle Tendency. What a manga. If you were a little underwhelmed from Phantom Blood like I was, just keep reading, because it gets so much better. Like, I'm really excited to read Stardust Crusaders now, I just can't wait. So for my final verdict, I will be giving Battle Tendency my score of 4.5 stone masks out of 5. I was really impressed with this one, guys. If you are interested in Battle Tendency, you can of course check out the manga. These 4 volumes here contain all of the original 7 volumes. They are available from Viz, and well, let me just praise these volumes for a minute. These are some of the highest quality manga volumes on the market. They are absolutely amazing, and you really should own them. There's also, of course, the popular anime series that has been adapting this entire manga. It's somewhere in part 4 now, and of course part 2 was already adapted in its entirety. So that's all I had to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. You can leave your thoughts in the comments below, and with that I will see you guys on my next full series review for...
Washington, D.C. will never be the same. Deoda! In the house!
Yeah! It's a party every week, baby! Deoda!
Check it out!
That's right, I'm in the house!
He's gonna shake it up and change it.
Shake it up!
Take it all and rearrange it.
Just a little bit.
Got a new plan on the sand. We've got
Deoda!
in the house.
Deoda!
In the house.
このディオだ